Okay, it's been a little while since I made a painting video, so I think we'll make something real simple. Maybe just some water. Talk about the colors on the palette here. We've got black, permanent green, burnt umber, cadmium red, cadmium yellow, titanium white, cobalt blue, and ultramarine blue. I'm not exactly sure what we're going to use today, but we'll just start out with this cobalt blue. We'll lighten that up a little bit with the titanium white here. That's a decent amount. You can see how kind of sweet that color is. I always refer to colors as sweet when they look like candy or taffy or something like that. And that old idea of just mixing blue and white to make light blue, I don't really like that. So I figure we'll talk about that a little bit. So we'll knock that color down with the burnt umber, and that'll kind of gray it a little bit. It's kind of a nicer color, I think. Maybe truer to nature. And again, this is just going to be a simple painting. I'm not exactly sure what's going to happen here, but something that has to do with water. Maybe water with the piling in it. Maybe water with a sky. In fact, let's go ahead and do I have a pencil around here? Let's do a horizon line. First of all, this panel measures 7 by 5 3/4, which I like better than the typical size of 7 by 5. This is just a little bit more square than rectangle. And if we're going to say, let's just start off with a simple water, sky, horizon line, you could measure up 2.5 inches. And already you can kind of see that you've got a horizon line. It almost looks like the ocean, just as simple as that. And I have this paint thinner here that I've got I don't know if you can see that, but there's a little screen here with a piece of wood, and that allows me to clean the brush, and then all the pigment falls to the bottom, and I can continue to reuse that paint thinner. So I'm taking this paint that's on the brush here, and I'm putting a little paint thinner on the brush to make it spread easier. And we'll just put that all along the bottom here, which represents the water. And then if we want to make the sky, we could go darker or we could go lighter. So we'll just go lighter this time. And I'll take my palette knife. I've got a rag over here where I can take some of the excess paint off of it. And I'll pull some more of that white, bring that down on the palette, pull a little bit of that mixture here. And maybe a little bit more. And I will clean my brush off a little bit. And we'll go ahead and spread that all around. I tend to like really simple paintings. That doesn't mean that I sometimes don't make things complicated. But if you can make something that is simple and still kind of interesting or pretty or whatever, that's usually the best. I kind of like that. I don't know, if you use your imagination, it's almost like a little peninsula sticking out into the water here. And I like this gray because it's kind of stormy looking, because I've kind of put the paint on very haphazardly. You've got areas that are darker and lighter, which could look like cloud formations. So this is something where you could just put it to the side and leave it and walk away, and then come back and look at it later, let the paint dry, whatever. But in this case, I guess we'll move on a little bit more just to see what happens. And I guess a very typical thing to do would be to put maybe a little green in here, which could be a major mistake, but we'll go for it. That's the beautiful thing about painting small like this. It's just really casual. This is permanent green, which is very green. And again, I want to knock that down with some of the burnt umber here. This palette that I'm using is a piece of masonite that I put a little, shellac on there, so the paint doesn't absorb right into the masonite. And maybe we'll just take the knife and pull that across and see what happens there. And that's kind of neat. I mean, if you take lighter bits of green now, so maybe I'll take some of the cadmium yellow, put that in here, and maybe just a little bit of the white to lighten that up a little. And if I kind of pull that along there, it'll give the sense of light, maybe hitting this dune grass. And yeah, I'm really tempted to just leave it alone. So the next step in my artwork is to make a frame, because in my view, the frames can just make everything look better. Maybe that's because I'm a woodworker and I have a wood shop downstairs and I can make frames, but I can see this with kind of a broad white frame, and then it's just this really simple painting that's just a punch of color that you could put somewhere in the house. So even though I'm seeing pencil lines over here, it's not quite perfect. Like, I shouldn't do this, but I could throw a little bit of a tanner color in here, and that would kind of suggest maybe a beach. So then you have the beach before the green grasses. Again, just because this is a really small, casual painting, we're going to take the risk. And hopefully I don't screw this up, because I actually really like it right now. So we've got the titanium white, just a little bit of this cadmium yellow, and again we'll go for that burnt umber. And I think I'll use the knife again and just try to drag a little. You know, it can get a little dangerous because you've got all wet paint here. So I could drag the blue into the green. I don't know what's going to happen. You try to just do one motion. I think that works, but I kind of liked it better before. It's kind of so obvious, right? Like, yeah, that's okay. All right, I'm going to leave it right there. So I'll put a picture of this up on my website, and you can just copy it and just be really casual. It doesn't matter You get a good painting the first time off, paint it a few times. Just keep playing with the color, mixing your color, and really that's what it's all about. It's not so much making a good painting or making a bad painting. It's just taking the time to make a painting. So even if you just make the painting and take 10 minutes, an hour, then that's a good thing, I think. Okay, so this little painting didn't take too long, maybe 10 or 12 minutes, and it's kind of a nice exercise in mixing color. It's always fun to make a painting. You kind of get to see what happens. I never know if I'm going to have a painting I like or a painting I don't like, and because the paintings are so small, it's not a big deal. You can treat them really casually. If I felt like I was really losing the painting, then I would just walk away, and maybe a day or two later it would be dry enough to go back into, and you can just start another painting. I did frame this, so I went downstairs, made this frame. I will put this for sale on my site, but my site's not working right now. It's working that it still works, but I can't load anything new on it for whatever reason. If you want to paint this, I'll put a still, and you can just take a screenshot with your computer or screen grab and use this as something to paint off of. A lot of people have asked me to start making the painting videos again, and I'm going to keep making furniture videos or woodworking videos too, but I just wanted to start mixing it up a little bit. It can become kind of a grind, just trying to keep up with the YouTube algorithm, so I decided to try not to care about that and just do what I want to do. And so I've already made 5 painting videos like this one, and I'm going to post them every Sunday morning with the idea that anybody who wants to get a little help painting, maybe a little encouragement, can then go ahead and paint. That's the idea. If you're a woodworker, you can go ahead and make the frames. That's kind of a fun thing to do, make a different frame, not for every painting, but you know, little different styles. It's kind of nice to have this big white frame around this simple painting. Also, if you're not a woodworker, I do make this frame system, and I have that for sale on the site. The nice thing about that is it's always the same size. It fits into the frame like this, and because it fits into the frame, you can just put it on a table or a mantle, a shelf. And what I like to do is kind of a fun exercise, I don't know, is just to make a little painting and bring it in the house and just leave it on the mantle and look at it. And sometimes I decide that I like it, and sometimes I decide that I want to go back into it. So it's nice to have the little frame, and the frame it just tends to make the paintings look better, and I think that's encouraging to make you feel good about the painting and want to continue to paint. If you're one of the people who wanted me to start making these painting videos again, if you don't want to watch the full video, just leave it on and walk away, because that helps me out. If I get more views, it inspires me to make more of these videos, and I'll get more views if the video gets more watch time. It's part of the whole YouTube kind of thing. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. Have fun with it. Don't take it too serious. The more you paint, the better you get. It's just like exercising. You know, that first run is really difficult, but you get 3 or 4 paintings under your belt, and you're going to get intuitive with the color. You're going to become comfortable with the mixing of it, and you're just going to have fun. So, as always, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.